is truly going within the rule of laws. But, or no, let me explain. The central bank is able to set up short and midterm decisions, yeah, but there is above them the parliament who is making the rules for the central bank. But the practical experience shows that neither in ECB nor in Fed there is a willingness to confront the fundamental problems of fiat money like optimum currency area, zero interest rate policy, zombification of economy, destruction of capital by increasing the politicization of money. Some remarks to the euro. Created by a Politburo and not chosen by the economic actors, the most of the participating countries couldn't choose for the euro. For example, Germany, Austria, we didn't have a vote to get in. This was according to the rule of law, as we are living in a representative democracy. So this was not a breach of rule of law that we got the German mark and the Austrian shilling, which were very beautiful currencies. We got that. No breach of law. But in such important questions, like having a currency, yeah, I think we have to rethink this corpus of law, that not the ruler and not the sovereign like the parliament are allowed to decide this by themselves. Is the euro a political instrument introduced to facilitate the process of political and economic union in Europe? To illustrate this point, I want to mention two quotes. One by Professor Wilhelm Hanckel. He was founder of the Bank Deutscher Länder, which was later on the Deutsche Bundesbank, and I had the honor to work with him for 1 year. He said, the euro is just a substitute for a missing constitution of the European Union, because the only club in Europe which has not a constitution is the European Union. They only have some treaties. The other quote is by Chancellor Merkel. She said, if the euro fails, Europe will fail. As it's a political instrument, it all means are acceptable by them to preserve the currency illusion, and they think they can take the right to act outside the rule of law. What I mean with it is, for the non-Europeans, we have the Treaty on the Functioning of the European Union, and there are two paragraphs, paragraph 122 and paragraph 125. 125 was the no bailout rule. I hope everybody knows this no bailout rule. 122 was a rule, when are we allowed as ECB or as other country to take action to help somebody out. And this 122, according to Professor Geistlinger, who is a professor on the University of Salzburg for international law, it was a clear breach of rule of law. I recommend, if you're interested, to read those two paragraphs and then compare what reality showed us. So the government, the rule of law, the continuous breach leads to absolutism. The government is the service provider, it's the agent. The citizen is the customer, it's the principal. In democracies, the order goes always from the citizen to the ruler, and never from the ruler to the citizen. This was breached by Chancellor Merkel in 2015 when she said, "Wir schaffen das." It's a very famous quote in the German world, German-speaking world. "Wir schaffen das" means we're gonna make it. It was at the migration crisis at this time. She said, "We're gonna make it. We take everybody in." But this was kind of an order to the citizens, and this should never happen in democracies. So, if the roles are switched like this, when the ruler places laws and breaking those laws shortly afterwards, like we saw on the saving of the euro and the banking system, the orientation and the trust in the population is getting lost. absolutism and despotism could be on its way, and we can feel this every day when you are a citizen of the European Union. I want to finish my short speech here. We started with Fiat Justitia pereat mundus. Let justice be done and let the world perish. This was the antipode of Kaiser Ferdinand I. He placed the set of rule of law over everything in ruling. And now we are living out the completely vice versa regime in the Fiat Euro pereat Justitia. We tried this together, a friend of mine and me, we tried our Latin. I hope this is right. Let the euro survive, even if the rule of law should perish. This is my closing remarks. We have to stop the chivalrization of mankind and society, and we have to start in getting laws or regulations for breaking the regulations and laws. Thank you very much.
We have time for 2 or 3 questions.
Thank you very much. Great speech. The question I have is, the European treaty has the ecology in it, and it was a big surprise that somebody sued I think it was the German government, over a height of toxic emissions in cities, and actually the court ruled that actually an individual could sue the government successfully on that. Were there any cases where individuals or any institutions sued whoever, the ECB, on one break of Rule 122 or 125 successfully?
Yeah. As I told you, I have been working with Professor Wilhelm Hankl together, and he was suing already against the inauguration of the euro in 1999, together with some other scientists, and then he was suing against the ESM. Unfortunately, I forgot to mention right now, the ESM was an enabling act where we enabled some out of the control of parliamentary control entity. Yeah. If you don't know the ESM, please Google it and look for it. This is really a severe act of destroying any democracy. So I don't know exactly now what the question was, but you are failing if you whenever you set up anything against the euro or the euro system.
Sorry.
There were a lot of attempts. William Hankl did 2 of them, 1999 and 2012. And 2012, at this time I worked with him, I was close, but they did not have any chance. The hearings were very short, and no way.
Greetings, Tom. As a team member of Bachheimer.com, we have been discussing this. But since the monetary easing and quantitative easing policy of the ECB and the Fed is more or less at its limits and ends, I have a question concerning what is the future of quantitative easing? Are we just about going to enter through a number of unknown asset classes that the ECB is going to be allowed to buy? Are we going to enter in a Ponzi scheme?
As we are guests of the Austrian National Bank, I am not entitled to answer this right now. I don't want to answer this.
You made a comment that the ESM is outside of the control of the national parliament, but that's not true for Germany because their stake in the voting process is big enough, and the Constitutional Court obliged them to approve any bailout. So yeah, I would just disagree on the facts there.
Okay, of course you are right, but when they inaugurated the ESM, this was not the fact, I have to say. And so we got this ESM, everybody knew about it, and then they changed the rule. For example, they said the ESM is not allowed to save banks, and it was inaugurated in October 2012, and in June 2013 they made out of the ESM they made a bank saving entity. So this is a good question, because they're imposing a law, they're saying this, and then they are turning it a little bit. This is a positive, but there's also negative effects when they are changing it, the rules.
Okay, unfortunately we don't have more time for questions, but I encourage you to talk with Thomas later.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.